It's a long, winding road.
Forgot the words to my own song.
From here to Hardin
You got me.
And it's full of lost souls and broke down misery.
Low Budget LITE for this fine Thursday, March the 13th. It's a little song of mine from back in the day called 64. I think I've probably played it on the show before.
You see, she left me standing right there beneath that old front porch light.
Always liked this song. Contractually obligated, though, because I wrote it.
I can't go another mile, 'cause every turn I make,
And I know we only got a little bit of time together on LITE, but
I'm losing faith and hope and love. I'm slowly losing sight on 64 tonight.
welcome to Low Budget LITE. That is the song 64, and it's about the Highway 64 that runs from Chattanooga to Memphis. I live somewhere in between there, and it is a long, long, lonely, dark road sometimes at night. And that seems like everywhere I go in life, I pretty much got to travel on it. I've lived just off of it my whole life, and that's what I wrote that song about many years ago. And yeah, it's a banger, okay, as the kids say. And I've had people call me a narcissist over the years, and if thinking a song that, if believing in a song I wrote makes me a narcissist, then just type that away in the comments. So be it, I say. Welcome. Sorry I missed last week. I was at the Santee Cooper MPFL, and so I missed Low Budget LITE. I said I was going to take some podcasting gear and try to do a LITE. Just didn't happen. I traveled pretty heavy over there carrying some boat parts. I got customers over there in South Carolina, and enough boat parts that Southwest charged me a freaking ton to get the suitcase over to good old South Carolina. So ended up not adding podcast gear to the heavy bag and missed out last week. And man, I was on a roll. I'd done several in a row, but here we are. We're back today doing an LBL LITE. We are 9 days away from the Low Budget live at Birdie's Social Club in Fort Worth, Texas. If you were going to be at the Classic, come out. Live podcast. We're going to kick things off around 8 p.m. Live podcast with music by the Fat Rascals to follow. Myself, John Simpson, Benny Ballou, Shannon Wheeler, and my buddy Ryan Engelman from Turnpike Troubadours. We are going to do the thing. There'll be special guests. There'll be all sorts of wildness going on at Birdie Social Club. So hope to see you there. Another thing in Fort Worth early in Classic Week, and I don't know how many of y'all will be there, but on Monday, so this is the 17th, but on Monday, classiccrawfishbowl.com is where you can get tickets. This event benefits St. Jude's, which is one of the most important things really in our world, in my opinion, man. There's nothing worse than cancer, period, in the story. And then whenever it impacts children, it impacts their families. It's awful. And the people at St. Jude's, they do a remarkable job. And I have so many people that have been unfortunately impacted by this, but also fortunate to have St. Jude's in their life. And this is Trey and Chris Aldain are putting this deal on. Matt Panger is involved in this, several others, but Trey and Chris have worked hard on this. classiccrawfishbowl.com. You have to buy tickets before you go, and if you cannot attend, you can also donate. There are links on the site, but they're going to have live music. It's going to be a neat event. I unfortunately will not be able to be there. I can't leave that early, so try to support that if you are in the area. Classic Crawfish Boil, BOIL.com for tickets. All right, back in the studio here, the Bar and Grill studio, which is a disaster, in case you're wondering. I need to do a video tour of this one day just to show you the madness that is the clutter of the bar and grill right now. I got music equipment over here where we're getting ready for the live. I've got just camera gear from filming YouTube videos lately. There's a 9mm on the bar. I don't know why. Lots of shit going on. Oh, me. It's chaotic. March is my busiest month, man. I got ABT this weekend. I got moved from Saturday to Sunday on Gunnersville because there's a threat for tornadoes on Saturday. Life's wild right now. Life is wild for so many reasons. But wanted to today. This is kind of a question and answer, I guess. I think I want comments on this. I'm going to open this up to y'all in the comments. But I've seen things in the discussion in the recent weeks about fishing cheaters in the last couple of weeks. And I say cheaters, rule infractions, rule breakers, and the outpouring of support for the people that broke the rules. And no matter who that is, there's been a large outpouring, and it's kind of wild to me, and it's gone against the organizations. Primarily, it's been heavily weighted to the negative against the organizations. And I've talked about this, so I won't just beat this to death again today. But some of the comments that I've seen, say things like, and some to me, some to others, but like, you're jealous because this person made it and you didn't. And that's why you're talking about this. This person made it. They made it. They famous. They made it. And you just jealous. And I've seen that, man. And I've seen that towards organizations. I've seen it towards myself. I've seen it towards other podcasters, people that have kind of said, hey, yeah, this is screwed up. These rules are in place for a reason. I'm sorry you don't understand that. Or you're such a fan of an angler that you can't take your blinders off to realize that what they did is actually breaking a rule, and it was, shady. And I see these things. So it got me thinking. So today's topic's kind of got two things I want to talk about. The first is this, though. What is making it to you in life? But in particular, in fishing, what is making it? What would you call making it in fishing? Is it being a successful tournament angler? Is it being able to feed your family in the fishing industry, something that you love? Is it being an influencer on TikTok? I think about old Slick Johnson, old Slick. He's not a professional angler, but he's, I'm sure, doing well as an influencer type and bringing, stirring the pot and doing the things he does. Like, what's your definition of making it to you personally? Not to me, because I think it has to be, when you see those are uneducated type comments, right? But I think that because I can only speak for me, and when I was a kid, young man, I only thought, and none of this existed, right? I knew I wanted to be in the fishing industry. I wanted to fish the Bassmaster Classic. I wanted to, that was the only path back then. I thought you had to fish, you had to make the Classic, you had to be on the Bassmasters or the FLW Tour, and that was it. That was the only path to, quote unquote, making a living. Much so to the point that when I was 22 years old, Greg Bowie, who's a dear friend of mine that hired me at TH Marine way back then, offered me a job actually when I was 21. And he said, hey, when you graduate, I'm wearing my jersey at the Bassmaster Classic looking like a dummy, I'll assure you. And he tells me that TH may be hiring and he'd like to hire me. And I turned him down. I'm like, I'm going to be a bass pro. And he's like, you're going to be broke, because there are a lot of them that are starving to death, and that kind of thing. And then the next year he talked to me again, and my dad and I talked about it, and he's like, hey, it's a great opportunity to get to work in the industry. And so my path really changed that day, and I wasn't upset about it. I had fished when I was really young. I've narrowly missed making the Bassmaster was the tour then, I think, or not the top 150. It was the tour before it was called the Elite Series, but barely missed making that when I was 19, was really close and wasn't ready at all. And I've told this story on here, But my path changed. And then that was like '05. Then I was out of quote unquote pro fishing until 2013, 2014, when I got back to fishing co-angler. And then I fished all co-angler events in 2015. So a 10-year gap that I did not fish professionally. I did fish some tournaments with my dad. We had a lot of success, but around home, that kind of thing. But I didn't fish professionally. Like, I gave it up during that gap of my life. And something that always comes my way is people are like, man, I won more money than you fishing, or I did this, or I did that. And, which is hilarious. And that's fine. I'm glad I'm Googleable, good for you. But I was given an opportunity to kind of get back into it from that way. But at no point when that started, even when I went back to the FLW tour, did I ever want to be just a full-time bass pro. That wasn't my definition of making it. Okay. And to so many, maybe it is. But for me, it was all about what I wanted and what made me happy. And then in 2019, when things changed with the FLW tour and they were being bought by MLF, it wasn't making me happy at all. And all the changes that were forthcoming and all that, that's when I stepped. I'd already started this in 2017, but that's when I started doing this. And man, it caught steam, and that turned into MPFL and ABT. And then obviously last year, the big life change to leave TH Marine, start more of my own businesses, kind of control my own destiny, so to speak. And it's been a wild ride, but man, I would say everybody's definition of making it needs to be personal, and it needs to be, what your goals are. And for me, all I ever wanted was to be able to make a living in and around the bass fishing space. And for those of you listening to this, a lot of you'll never get that opportunity. And that's okay. Do you walk in the back door every night and you're happy to see your wife and kids and you're fulfilled in what you're doing and you're 9 to 5, and maybe you go fishing on Saturday and you're a fan of fishing and you never aspired to make a living in this? And guess what? That's okay. That's okay. Maybe you don't know the insider information because you don't work in the industry like myself. That's okay too. That's why and it gets twisted when I try to explain some of this, or it seems like I'm hating on people or whatever, but like on these rule infractions, that's why I'm trying my best, not from a hater standpoint, as it's been called, but I'm trying to explain this because I do know it is like old Slick. Slick knows this information's out there. And I'm telling you, because I think that people need educated to a certain extent, because there are so many people that are obsessed with the sport of bass fishing and they just don't know. And that goes for every subject, every sport, every whatever. On social media, there's a large group of people that think they know that know nothing. And then there's some insiders that do. And sometimes that truth does get out there and you get pelted for it. I've always been a guy that I'm going to stand up for what I think's right. I'm going to tell you my opinion, and if you like it, fine. If you don't, just go away. That's fine too. Not saying you got to agree with me. I'm just saying if you don't like it, you ain't got to throw rocks. Just move on down the road, Donnie. But I think that's important. But for me, I just want to say that, and I think maybe some people need to hear that too, because I've talked about being grateful a lot. It's been a hell of the last 6 months in life. And I've talked about this on the show a lot, but this week I got to go see my accountant, and we were talking, obviously, taxes and getting ready to do the tax return for this year. And he was like, man, I thought you were crazy when you walked away from TH Marine. And he said, you're doing it. And for me, man, that's making it. That's making it. He's just like, you got a lot of irons in the fire, but you're making it, man. And how cool is that? How blessed I am to be able to say that I get to make a living. I get to feed my family through the fishing industry. So whether you love me, hate me, I'm good. I'm good with my situation, and I'm not going to change who I am because of that either. I'm going to keep on being as honest as I can. So that was really long winded, but the question to all of you low lifers is, what is the idea of making it to you? I mean, so many of you like Ben Milliken, and I was one that criticized him, but a Ben Milliken that made it on YouTube was looked down upon by pro fishermen for years. The same with the Guggen guys in the beginning. They were looked down upon forever. And dude, they were making money fishing. They made a living fishing and creating content. They made it in life. The same could be said for music. What's the difference? I've got friends in bands that are very successful that have grinded it out for years and years and years and years and years and years. And now there's a conversation that takes place. Maybe a young kid blows up because he had a TikTok go viral and he's selling out arenas. And the old guard sometimes thinks, well, maybe he didn't pay his dues, that kind of thing. But he still made it. Now, there might have been a shortcut in there, but he made it. He made it. I have this conversation with professional anglers from time to time because people like myself with podcasts and people that are influencers that don't fish tournaments as much anymore, maybe they work in the space or whatever, have paying sponsors. Some that eats up some pro fishermen, eats them up. They don't understand. They want to know why. Why do these guys get these deals? Well, they provide value, and they made it. They made it in life to have a voice, to have a platform, to be able to work with sponsors, to be able to have an audience. And I think we live in an amazing time where that can happen. That can happen. Lord knows. I'm very fortunate to have people that tune into this each and every week. And there's a lot of stuff out there that I don't understand that people watch, especially in the bass fishing space, because it's god awful. But that being said, they got an audience too. So I think it's everybody's definition of making it's different. So y'all tell me what you think in the comments, like for you. And if you're in the fishing industry, especially in the comments, like what's making it to you? I've got goals every year, pertaining to everything that I do, that I write down. And because I do believe if you write it down, sometimes you can manifest things. And I'm a writer. Look, I mean, this notebook right here, I go through these like you won't believe. I mean, it's just, and I got them laying all over the place. Marissa, the triple thread, always laughs and says, how do you know which notebook to pick up? Because I mean, I do. It's one of the many weird quirks that I have, but I have notebooks everywhere. I always have a notebook close. I like to write. I will type a lot in the iPhone notes as well, but I like to scratch things out for sure. So what's making it to you? What is making it to you? Because I dare say a lot of people, especially that make hate-filled comments towards whoever on the internet, they wish they could trade places most of the time with whoever they're in, whether that's you're insulting the quarterback of your favorite team, buddy. You couldn't hold that guy's Gatorade cup. It's that kind of deal. People tearing people down, toxicity. Most of the time, that's that person's insecurity screaming out, right? But what's making it to you? Another thing that I want to just quickly touch on, and this is a random light, but I just woke up with all this on my brain. So this is what you get today. Another one is, there are so many talented young anglers out there that just get hated on. Daddy's money must be nice. All that crap all the time. And while I will say, there are some that probably deserve that. You got some that their daddies buy them camera guys and all the tricked out stuff, and they try to make them use that fake it till you make it kind of attitude, and they try to prop them up like they're, Kevin Van Dam, and they're Kevin Van Dam it. They ain't even close. That kind of deal. Those exist. Those do exist. They're everywhere. Okay. There are a lot of those. Once the daddy ball mentality kind of came into bass fishing, you do see a lot of that. But that being said, there are also a lot of them that work very, very hard at what they do. And just because you're, my age, 41, or you're 55, or you're 60, and hell, I'll tell you, I get jealous of them little turds out there fishing all the time because I was that kid for the most part. Man, I fished every dang chance I got, and there wasn't a big youth movement back then when I was less gray. And there are so many of them working hard, man, and they're doing crazy things. There's two young men, Dylan Carter Nutt, go to the University of North Alabama, Roar Lions. I went there, no big deal. It was like the only person that bass fished there. Now they have very successful bass fishing teams. These kids are winning everything on Pickwick. They put in the work. Do they have supportive parents? Obviously. Yeah, absolutely. But their talent speaks for itself as well. It definitely does. Definitely does. And they seem to be young men that are doing it the right way. And I meet them all the time. I see them in the Alabama Bass Trail. I see them at NPFL events for the most part. A lot of good eggs that you see that family support. You see them putting in hard work. And again, you have other sides of that. They don't work hard. They're lazy. They're giving everything. They think they show up and somebody, their parents pay people to run their social medias. You got 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that their parents pay. This is real life. This happens. Newsflash, if you didn't know this, there's a lot of people, they pay. You're a kid. They got this in their hand all day anyway, Snapchatting their girlfriend, making duck lips and all that crap and God knows what else. But they can't run their own social media. So Diddy will pay people to run their social medias. Like it's absurd. It's absurd. Like, and my joke has always been, if Gerald Swindle can run his own social media, you probably should too. That's kind of the key. Social media, you're sharing your life. But anyways, I see that stuff all the time too. And most of the time that is with the ones that aren't worth a damn. Again, lazy, spoiled, that kind of thing. They do exist. But I would like to see, and you can't change people's minds and you can't win a puke fight with a buzzer, but I would like to see some of the toxicity towards a majority of these young anglers kind of dial it back. It's like rule breaking. Okay? To tie it all together in a big bow. There's always going to be outliers, and we can talk about that. But the majority of pro fishermen are honest. They try to do it the right way. They're working their ass off to try to make a living. And I think a majority of these young anglers, even if they do have a mom and dad that are capable of supporting them, and there are a lot of them that don't, because I know them too. They're putting in work. They have a dream. They're trying to get there. And there are a few bad eggs that make the rest of them look bad at times. So kind of take that into consideration before you fat finger on them keyboards, as I always like to say. All right. That was random and that was rambling. Okay. But that was what was on my heart and on my mind this morning for this LBL Lite. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And if you didn't, guess what? We'll do more next week. I do like 2 of these a week. It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. It's a lot coming out of this random ass brain. So I appreciate y'all very much. Birdie's Social Club, March 22nd. We are going to have a large time. There are so many of y'all that have been to the LBL lives that we have done at the Classic. You know what this is going to be. I'm expecting this to be our biggest ever. Fingers crossed. It's going to be a great time. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to take you out with the rest of 64 here, and I'll see y'all Monday for the last LBL before we go to Fort Worth. See ya. You better be there. Just saying. For real. See ya. Love you. See you. Bye.